So for years, our family has talked about climbing Mount Katahdin together. And Mount Katahdin is this mountain that is super cool. It's in Maine. It is about 5,200 feet. It is the tallest mountain in Maine. And as we're hiking, this guy starts passing by us. He comes up behind us and he's kind of cooking along, and he's got a small backpack on and a long beard. And he has this yellow tag on his backpack. And my husband, Chris, recognizes what the yellow tag is. And it is a tag that you have if you are what's called a thru hiker. Now, a thru hiker is somebody who is hiking the entire length of the Appalachian Trail. This is somebody who is hiking 2,190 some miles, going from Georgia to Maine. And so Chris says, "Are you a thru hiker?" And he says, "Yes." And he tells us his hiking name. He said, "I've been on the trail for 172 days. And Katahdin is the end of the trail." And so we all say, "Congratulations. We hope you have an amazing hike up Katahdin and finishing the trail." And he kind of cooks on past us. And it was this incredible moment where you realize somebody was going to be climbing this mountain the same day as us and accomplishing and realizing this incredible dream. I mean, what an amazing accomplishment to hike the entire Appalachian Trail, to be out on the trail for 172 days, and for us to be getting up to the top of the mountain on the same day when somebody who's been doing this and achieving this goal. I mean, that is so cool. And so I felt this like renewed energy, and I looked down at my boots and I'm like giving myself this pep talk. And it was just this like amazing, cool thing that we experienced. And so, we hiked for a little bit longer, and then we get to the point where you get to the boulder field. And the boulder field is where you get up above tree line, and all of a sudden you're up in the open sky, and it's these massive like stones that are as big as like a VW Bug car. And stones that you have to like climb up and climb over and put your hands on and pull yourself. Like, it is a super physical hike. You have to like reach on your tippy toes to grab to the very top and then find like a little crook somewhere with your foot and then like haul the other one up on another ledge. Like, you are scaling and hauling yourself up these things. I was so proud of myself and proud of my little boots for doing it and going up. I'm thinking, okay, I got this thing. So the long and the short of it is we get through the boulder field. I'm so proud of myself. And once you get past this like super technical area, the last mile of the hike is all open. You're on the top of the mountain. It kind of feels like Sound of Music. It's not even like this big climactic thing where it's super steep. You're just kind of winding up on the open face of this mountain. It's extraordinary. And as we are approaching the top, guess who's coming down? That's right. The thru hiker with the long white beard that we had seen with the small pack. Like, I didn't think he was a thru hiker because he basically had a day pack on his back. He was coming down. He had just completed the trail. He had some friends that had clearly met him at the top. It was so exciting to see him coming. And as he was coming down, I put my hand on my hips and I said, "Oh my gosh, congratulations." And he looked at me and said, "Thank you." And you could tell he didn't want to talk, And I don't blame him. I mean, if I had been on a trail for 172 days, the last thing I'd want to do is stop and have a long chat with some stranger lady who wants to chat up a storm and like bother you. But I said to him, I said, "Can I ask you a question fast? I'm just curious." And he said, "Yes, but I'll answer it as I walk by." And I'm like, "No problem. What did you learn about life from being on the trail for 172 days? And his friends kind of looked at him and he kept, walking toward, and he was about to pass me. And he said, "Well, when I started this, I didn't think I had anything to learn, but I was wrong." And he said, "The first thing that I learned is that you carry your baggage with you." And he didn't unpack that, but I'm going to unpack it. I'm going to tell you everything that he said. And then I am going to come back and kind of share with you what I think it means. And then as he passed me and kept walking, he said, "Patience. Never underestimate the value of patience." And I said, "Thank you. Congratulations." And he kept on going down. And I looked up, and the top of Katahdin was there, and my kids were about to reach it. And Chris and I were a couple 100 yards behind. As we walked up to the top of the summit, Chris and I talked a little bit about that idea of thinking that you don't have anything to learn. And isn't it true that we all think we know it all? But there's always something to learn if you're willing to look at life that way. I mean, life is the single greatest school you'll ever attend. There's always new things that you're going to learn if you have that kind of mindset. And the second thing, and I loved what he said about the fact that you take your baggage with you, and this is what I made it mean. You cannot outrun or outhike your baggage. Whether you're aware of it or not, all of the things that you've never dealt with, all of the issues from your past, all of the stuff that's buried in your subconscious, you're dragging it around through life just like a backpack that you carry on your back. And it's not until you make a conscious decision that you are no longer going to carry it with you, that you have a choice to stop and to take that backpack off and to set it down and leave it at this moment in your life and walk forward without carrying that burden. How do you do that? Well, you do that by going to therapy. You do that by gaining self-awareness. You do that by listening to podcasts like this one and learning more about yourself and learning from experts that can help you understand the baggage that you're carrying and how it's still impacting you, and simple ways that you can start to identify what it is and put it down. But I think the most important thing is that, yes, you will continue to carry that stuff with you. You can't outdrink it. You can't outrun it. You can't be silent and think it's going away. You got to decide that it is no longer a burden that you want to carry. Pretty cool, huh? I thought so. So we get to the top, we take a few photos, and then we head down. Now, we are 6 hours into this puppy at this point, and as we're coming down, we see two more thru hikers. Yep, and you know how I knew it? Because they have yellow tags. Now, I remember the trail names of these two. One of the guys' names was, I believe, River Run, and the other guy's name, I believe, was Wood. And you could tell they were friends. And the thing that was so amazing about these guys, because I said, hey, oh my God, through hike, congratulations, so cool, you're finishing it, oh my God. And the one guy said, yeah, I'm realizing a dream after 45 years. And I was like, what do you mean? And get this, he finished the Appalachian Trail after doing sections of it over the course of 45 years. He has chipped away. Isn't this so cool? And same with his friend, that they would meet up and do sections at a time, and they were finishing it that day. And you could tell that they were just so overcome with emotion about what was about to happen. And so I asked them, I said, we just met another thru hiker, and I asked them, what did you learn on the trail that has helped you in your life? And if you don't mind talking, he's like, no, I'd love to talk about it. And I love what these two shared. I absolutely loved it. He said, number one, keep moving. If you just keep moving forward, eventually good things come. Good people, good weather, good views, good luck. Just keep moving, and eventually good things come. I freaking love that. I love that. It's true, isn't it? It's easy to think that you're going to be stuck where you are forever, but you just aren't. If you just keep moving, good things come. The next thing that he shared was that nature is the original healer. That just being out in nature and seeing our beautiful country. I mean, the Appalachian Trail goes through 14 states. And the research about being out in nature, we have covered it so often in this podcast. I'm not going to cover it right now. So true. And this one I love. Here's another one. It's never too late. It's never too late to do something you've always wanted to do. I was sharing about the experience with my dad. And I remember a couple of years ago, my dad just casually mentioning that he had always wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. And so right before I jumped on the microphone to talk to you and tell you the story, I said, hey, Dad, tell me about the Appalachian Trail. Like, why is it that you've wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail? And he told me this awesome story. One of his best friends was named Buzz. And Buzz died very suddenly this year after a health diagnosis that came out of nowhere. It was just devastating. And so my dad told me the story about Buzz that I didn't know. So Buzz retired at the age of 65. And when he retired, he went down to Georgia and started hiking the Appalachian Trail. And I guess he got to Pennsylvania, and then there was a wedding. I think one of his kids was getting married. And so he flied from the trail to the wedding. And when the wedding was over, he flew up to Maine, to Mount Katahdin, where I was with my family right then, you know, telling you the story about climbing Mount Katahdin. And he started there and then hiked back to that spot in Pennsylvania. And he basically said, I went up to Maine after the wedding because if I didn't go to Maine first, I would have ended the hike at the end of November, and that would have been really awful to climb Mount Katahdin at the end of November, and probably really, really dangerous given the bouldering and the ice that you would experience. And, you know, I was talking to my dad. I was like, well, do you want to do it? And he said, well, at the age of 80, I don't think I could do all the sections, and I don't want to be gone from Mom for 172 days in a row or 180 or what, the 6 months it would take me. And I'm like, that's fair. And then I said, but, you know, Chris and our son Oakley are so inspired by the thru hikers that I think they're going to start doing sections together. What if you do a section with them? And his face lit up. And he's like, I'd love that. There you go. It's never too late. And the final thing that River Run and Wood shared is the inherent goodness in other people, that at their core, people are good. And they told me that there were just endless situations where they were moved by the goodness of other people, whether they were giving them the shirt off their back or handing them the last bite of a meal, like just willing to help. And I think in a moment in modern life where it feels very isolated and polarizing, isn't that a wonderful thing to be reminded that at their core, people are good? Whew, I just love it. Chris, all of a sudden, are you kidding me? My face is now in my hand. My family loves to camp. My husband has been wanting to climb Mount Katahdin forever. It's in Maine. It is about 5,200 feet.